Hello there. I hope you guys are doing good. So today we'll talk about interview mistakes and some of the top mistakes that we every one of us make and how to avoid those. So let's get started. So the very first mistake that every one of us make is being late. So if you are one of those who make this mistake of going to interview late, either online or offline, try to avoid this. Second is dressing inappropriately. If you're going for an interview, make sure you dress properly. Now, not asking clarifying questions. So, especially in terms of when we are asked about the technical questions, make sure you ask the clarifying question if you didn't understand it clearly. Instead of jumping into the coding immediately after being presented with a problem, ask clarifying question to ensure you have understood the problem correctly before you begin building a solution. For example, you may want to understand input requirements or ask about edge cases. When you do begin to code, think out loud as you go and keep asking questions. Hearing your thought process helps give your interviewer insight into your problem solving skills and can provide opportunities for them to offer additional points of clarification or share hints as well. Now, all of us make assumptions without calling them out. So avoid doing this. Making assumptions without calling them out and jumping into a solution without asking question or calling out your approach. It is important to take things slow and help us really understand how you think through problems. So make sure that you really understand the question that is being asked by your interviewer, that you ask clarifying question and that call out your approach. Another mistake that we make is not explaining your thought process. So for me, the most frustrating thing as an interview can do is not explaining the thought process to me. As an interviewer, I want to see how someone approaches problems in general so I can decide how successful they will be at solving different problems. When I ask a question and get an answer without hearing how the interview arrived at it, I cannot extrapolate on their problem solving capabilities. An interview should show me their thought process, explain their thinking so I can decide how well they will be able to apply those skills as an employee. Never give false answer or bad answer. Instead say, no, I don't know. A common mistake that we see is candidates not knowing an answer to a question and making up fake technical answers, splitting at length, or just remaining quiet. It is much better for you to say, I don't know, and talk through the process that you would use to figure out the answer. A part of the interview is understanding how someone works through a problem that haven't seen before. If you have a good process for figuring the answer out, that is often enough to pass. Even if you know the answer, talk us through your process. Next mistake that we need to avoid is not explaining how you go to your answer. Being so focused on the answer that they don't explain how they got there. Explaining their thought process in detail helps us determine how they approach the problems. As a result, it is important to think out loud and ask for more context if needed. The problems we solve at Automatic are so varied and unique that we care less about someone's answer to a specific question and more about how they approach it. Knowing that, let us evaluate if their problem solving process is robust enough for us to feel confident that they could solve anything that comes their way. Not doing your homework on the company. I have the experience like when I ask the candidate about the company, many times they don't know. In our industry, we are used to seeing a multitude for acronyms and initials used in an interview. To demonstrate your knowledge and experience, it is always best to talk through a brief summary that can be very impactful. Even though we are interviewing people for their technical capabilities, we still want to see that they are prepared and know about the company as well. As tempting as it may be to read the website while on a virtual interview, being prepared in advance and able to describe in your own words gives a much better impression of your research and interest for the company. Next mistake that we should avoid is miscommunication. I think one of the inhibiting mistake that interview make is miscommunication. Even though for 1 hour we are sitting at different sides of the table, I see interview as my potential future teammates. I'm not here to judge, but to understand you think and thought process and work out a solution together. Asking questions when you are in doubt and letting the interviewer know your thought and concern is very important. Having different opinions with an open mind to suggestions is totally fine. Another common mistakes that we make in while having online interview is having a poor setup. Always make sure that you have proper lights, camera on, your background is fine, suitable for the interview. Also, while speaking, you should have smile. Lack of smile is another mistake that we have to avoid. Never get frustrated or never get hesitant. Always have a proper communication or connect conversation with the interviewer. Another mistake that we should avoid is not balancing technical and soft skill. To get selected, not only will technical skill help, but also soft skill helps. Not showing a range of skill that you have in a CV, because in a limited time, interviewer can ask only few limited questions. So make sure you showcase your all the skill that you have in CV. Not showing initiative for solving problem. This is another mistake that we have to avoid. And not reading the job description properly. Always make sure you read the job description properly. That helps you to prepare well for the interview. So be yourself and keep calm during interview as if you are talking to your friends. Listen to queries carefully till the end, and if requires repeat the question and ask for the repeated explanation as well. Take few seconds to think through your response rather than immediately responding. So you should avoid speaking for too long because their time is limited. Interviewer wants to ask so many questions. So speak very briefly. Don't give vague answer to interviewer question. Don't give generic answer. Give point to point answer. Not taking time to think before answering question is another mistake that we have to avoid. Being too rusty on computer science fundamentals. Stretching the truth about the experience. Bad mouthing for former employees, colleagues, or clients we should all avoid as well. And showing little interest in the role and company is the last mistake that you should avoid. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you think the videos are helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching.